Welcome to this new how-to. In this how-to we're gonna look at the autopilot of the Concorde from DC Design. We're gonna look at version 102, which is the latest update for this aircraft, which has been released I think yesterday or the day before, which is already the second update for this aircraft. So we're gonna focus us on, I would say, this part of the aircraft, right? So we've just been instructed to, let's say, move to 250. So you can use this button to set up the altitude. We're gonna switch on the autopilot and then press the altitude acquired mode. The altitude acquired mode means that we're simply gonna fly into that direction, right? Or into that altitude, I should say. So we're gonna climb continuously, and then once we hit that altitude, it will switch to altitude hold mode, which means that we're gonna fly on that altitude unless we instruct the aircraft to do differently. Besides that, we can say, okay, hey, we want to configure the vertical speed mode, right? We want to fly with a certain angle, which we want to climb into, for example, at 1,000 feet per minute. Then we can do that, and we can, let's say, configure the aircraft to do that. The other way is, of course, descending. It's a similar thing. You can also instruct the aircraft to descend in a specific rate if you want that. Then we've got, let's say, several buttons which allows us to set up the direction in which we want to fly. And the most important thing is the LNAV button, and I will switch it on by now. Because if you switch on that mode, it will follow the flight plan, right? It will follow the flight plan and will make sure that the aircraft will start following that nice pink line, which you will see if you open up the VFR map, right? So currently we're on the right side of the pink line, which you can see here. But soon it should, I would say, fix that by turning the aircraft a bit and making sure that we're on that pink line. So that's good. One of the other things you can do is you can fly in a specific heading, right? Let's assume that you want to fly this specific heading, which is, well, let's say to 50, 60 to 70 degrees. You can use this button to configure the heading in which you want to fly. And by using that one in combination with the track heading and hold heading button, you can fly into that specific direction. That's cool, right? So let's keep turning. And you can see that the arrow here moves, right? Might be a little bit hard to see, but there's a small arrow which moves over there and will show us, okay, hey, this is the direction in which we want to fly to. You might ask, okay, hey, what's that button next to it, right? What are the numbers next to it? Well, those are the, I would say, that's the direction in which you probably want to fly to if you want to fly to this specific VOR, which we configured in the flight plan. So we're currently also being instructed to go to a different altitude again. So let's change it. In some cases, the aircraft will not start to climb again. If that happens, then make sure that the alt acquired mode is on, because it could be that the mode is set to alt hold mode, and then will not do too much, right? So keep that in mind. So let's make sure that we're telling the HC that we're gonna do what they want us to do. In the meantime, you can see that we're flying straight to the VOR, right? So also this arrow, which you can see here, which has been added as part of Concorde version 101, it shows that we're flying into the direction of the VOR. So let's open the VFR map, and that shows indeed that we're flying to this one, right? To D2. So that's good. It will probably start flipping soon, that we're flying away from it, or it will move to the second VOR point, which it just did, and then you can see that the aircraft directly starts to act on it, right? So it will directly start, say, moving the aircraft in position to make sure that we're flying into that specific heading. So that's good. Besides that, you can see that the heading mode has, I would say, changed here, right? So it has now set to do 281. So if we want to fly straight to that VOR, we need to fly this direction. But since we're using the LNAV mode, it will do all the things automatically, and you don't need to do much, which is, I would say, kind of cool. Let's switch to Manchester in this case. because we've just been instructed to do that.
Manchester Center Speedbird 005 is at
So
flight
that's
level
good.
300, climbing flight level 380. Speedbird 005 Manchester Center.
Let's wait for the ATC to finish talking. So with that we can continue, because there are some more buttons, right? We've got the heading select mode, which if we would switch it on, it would fly into this specific direction. Or we've got the heading hold mode. The heading hold mode simply will continue to fly in the specific direction which we're currently flying. So let's assume that we would switch it on currently. It will continue to fly into this direction. It will not make any changes. However, it will also not make the correct changes so that you're still, let's say, flying straight to the VOR. So be aware of that. Personally, LNF mode is my favorite. Then we've got a few other options. Amongst them, the go around, which we can press if we need to go around, right? If we want to abort or let's say landing. We've got the turn the level mode on or off, and we've got the pitch leveler. So the pitch is the, I would say, angle of, I would say, that we're gonna I would say increase or decrease. That's the pitch. And we've got the auto landing option. The auto landing option is an option which you can use only currently on specific airports. One of them is Los Angeles, and you can switch it on or off. Then we've got the Mach hold button and the approach mode. The Mach hold button is similar to the button you see here and all has to do with auto throttle, so I will skip it for now. The approach mode is the same as with all other aircrafts. It will simply switch on the approach mode, and if there's ILS, we'll start capturing the ILS, and we'll make sure that the aircraft will, say, capture the glide scope. Well, and you know the rest of the things, right? We'll simply make sure that the aircraft will glide down nicely, and then if you're happy, you can switch on the autopilot off at the latest moment and do the landing yourself. Then there are two options over here which say max climb mode and max cruise mode. The max cruise mode will simply, let's say, fly maximum speed for doing the cruise, right? So if you, let's say, reach the altitude which you want to fly, right, which you're being instructed to cruise on, then you can switch on this mode. The other mode is to increase or to maximize the climb rate, so it will continue flying at a specific speed and fly as quickly as possible to the configured altitude. But I've used it, I would say, sometimes with success, however sometimes also not with success. It didn't work perfectly, so still need to figure out why not. Then we've got the vertical speed mode, and the vertical speed mode allows you to set the climb rate, right? So either climb, say, with 500 feet per minute or 1000 feet per minute. So you can see that we've currently been instructed to go to 50,000. So you will see, once changing it, it will start to increase the level of climb, and we're on our way to the 50,000 range. The V-lock button, we didn't discuss it yet, right? It also has to do with the approach mode and the localizer, so you can also switch it on onto on localizer mode, and then we'll follow the localizer also for the glide scope. If I'm incorrect, correct me using the comment box below this video. Then we've got the turn back course mode on. The turn back course mode on allows you to use, I would say, a beacon which is let's say, not, let's say, at the start of the runway, but at the other end of the runway. In some cases you need to use it. I haven't used it, to be honest. I still need to use it one time, and because I'm really looking forward to how it will work. But simply as if you've got, I would say, an ILS beacon, which is not, let's say, for example, at runway 26, but at the other end, you can configure the frequency for the ILS on the other end, and then use the back course mode to make sure that you can still use the ILS. Then we're entering the max or the auto throttle options, and the auto throttle options can be managed using this button. There's one thing which you need to be aware of. By default it moves, I would say, with 1 unit at a time, but if you click here, if you configured the legacy control mode, then you are able to, let's say, make changes here and set it to, for example, to 50, 300 or whatever you want. Once you've done that, you can switch on the auto throttle mode using the buttons here, and you need to press the IS acquired mode, because the IS acquired mode simply means, hey, I want to make sure that I'm flying or that I'm gaining speed until I hit the 300, and then once I've hit that speed, I will switch to the IS hold mode to make sure that I'm not, say, bypassing that speed, right? Because you probably configured it for a reason. With that, I think we covered most of the options in this nice autopilot, which is, I would say, pretty useful. There are some options which we didn't look at, which is set the display to heading VS mode or set display to track FPA mode. I've looked at those options, but I'm not 100% sure why you want to use these options. I'm also, I would say, played around with it and I didn't see any changes there. So this is something which I probably need to, I would say, investigate a little bit further, and we'll come back in a future video. This button allows you to recenter the CDI, right? The CDI needle. So if you press that, it will correct automatically to make sure that it's flying into the correct direction. And you can still turn it left or right, but you can see that nothing changes here. So also this one, it requires some more investigation. Also the manual is not too clear about why you want to use this. So for now, if you want to fly a certain direction, then use this button, which is over here, and then use the track heading select on mode, which will bring you to that course, and then it will automatically switch to the hold mode. Or if you use a flight plan, then use the LNAV mode. Here ends this video. You can see that something really goes wrong because we're decreasing speed and we're also decreasing, or we're increasing speed again, but we're decreasing altitude. So it's probably a good moment to end this video so that you can see what's going wrong. I hope you liked this video. If you liked it, then consider to use the like button. If you got questions or comments, then feel free to post them in the comment box below. And if you want to stay up to date about videos I'm posting, then make sure that you're subscribing to my channel. Thanks for watching and see you next time.